Hello, friend. Today I'm going to bring you a topic of one of the feature or the database in Azure. It's called Cosmos DB database. So if you need a globally distributed, highly responsive database, so you're come into the right place in here, which is Cosmos database within the Azure portal. So Azure Cosmos DB is a great database. Azure Cosmos DB is a fully managed database service with turnkey global distribution and transparent multi-master replication. Um, you can run globally distributed low latencies operations and analytics workloads and AI on transactional data within your database. And if you go and do some search to find out more about it, so here it says Cosmos DB is for NoSQL is a non native non relation services for working with the document data model, and it gives you details, in here, and what is it for, utilize, and common use cases and scenarios for the for that. So here it gives you the introductions for Cosmos's solutions for fast NoSQL database within the open API for any scale. Services is designed to allow customers to elastically and independently scale throughputs and the storage across numbers of geographical regions in here. And the explanations goes on and continue. And here also it's the attributes of the Azure database that makes it well suited for highly performance applications with a globally ambitions. So also it can be utilized for Internet of Things. That's something that is going on very popularly here and very rapidly. You can the IoT and telemetric use and relates to marketings also, gamings, as you can see, and the list is goes on and on. This is the great things about the Cosmos Azure Cosmos DB within the Azure portal in here, and you can find out more by going to any search engines and performing that search and finding more details about this. So I'm gonna go ahead and search for that in here, and I'd happen to have it listed. So you can put Cosmos DB, and it's gonna come up to Azure Cosmos DB. It's right here. And as you can see, we're gonna go ahead and create that. And as you know, Microsoft they always updates, and which is that's a great things about Microsoft. They change the looks of their portal, the location of their material. They update them, make them more robust, more needy. And as you can see here, from this look, it was not like 6 months ago or a year ago or maybe less in here. So gonna go to Azure Cosmos DB. NoSQL, that's what we are going to work on. And here you're gonna, as always, it's any resource that you create in Microsoft Azure portal, you have to have my suggestions and recommendation, also a resource group name. So that name, so you can combine everything there if you want to update, add, delete, and anything like that. So you can go easily to that resource group and do so. And so I'm gonna give it a name in here, and I will go ahead and put demo um, RG for the resource group. Let's double check the name. Okay, and also now I'm gonna give an account names, and has to be distinct. And remember, this is very important because this is you. It will be this account be your public URL to your database. So you need to have it made well and very thoroughly in here. And one more thing, so actually, it's going to tell you if you put something that is not, it has to be lowercase and there's numbers and such, this is just to give you an idea of how it's going to be. And I just selected Demo Cosmos DB 54, and I'm going to select the regions. I'd like to have it in the East USA in here, the closest to me. Um, so the next capacity mode is either you want it provision throughput, which you're going to be, as you can see, this is in the real environment. I would leave it there because I'm going to put some work in here, provision throughput, and it's going to charge you for that versus serverless, which is going to be done by the Azure engineers and Azure background. And this is for cost cutting, by the way. And you don't need to have a lot of interference if you go with the serverless versus the provision throughput. But it's going to be charges within the Azure Cosmos DB free. Um, Also, there's a free is get to it's going to give you 1,000 RU as and 25 gigabyte of storage, which is a great for us as in training. But and in the real environment productions, I always suggest you to leave it provision throughput in here. The other ones is limit tool account throughput. Either you can uncheck it or check it. This is for the performance purpose. I would leave it as is. This limits, it says here, this limit will prevent unexpected charges related to provision throughputs in here. And you can update or remove this feature, which is great that even if you're finished with this, you can remove it or keep it in here. So next we're gonna go to globally distributed. This is an important part if you're really in the productions area. You need to select your uh, distributions, how you want it to be distributed for redundancy purpose. And I suggest you go with the geo at least, and then for multi-region rights, you can enable that, and availability zones also. You can enable that in here, but as my case right now, I would leave it the way it is because I'm doing this demonstrations for the purpose of teaching in here and showing you the best what you can perform on Azure Cosmos DB. Next, we're gonna go to uh, um, networking. So if you're in a real environment, you will select the public endpoint that which you have in here, and then you're gonna allow the Azure pool, and then the your very VNet. You can select that, which I am not going to do that. I will allow all networks, and then for security, this is very important feature for your database. TLS, it's transport layer security is a very good layer for when you're on the VPN. This is very good production, very good protections. Matter of fact, for your information. So as you can see, it's been kept by default. set the minimum transport layer service protocols here needed by application using your Azure Cosmos DB account, as you can see here, and you can learn more about it. But again, in my case here, I would go all network and leave it for now as is. So we go to the backup policy. This, again, you can consult with your team. And in a real environment, you may need to have a continuous or at least 7 days. So you have a backup in case something goes wrong. And again, for the backup, as you can see, storage, that's important. By default, it goes with the geo, which is this is for production is a great things. Geographical goes from country to country, matter of fact, in here. And then, for zone is in within the states. For example, in the United States, it's going to go from state to state. And for a local, it's going to go within your state local data centers. Maybe there's two of them. That's what might, or maybe within the state, two states if they're near, if you have only one data centers in your state. So, and then zone is going to be more than two states further, and then geo is going to be in the countrywide side. That's the good things. But I will leave it like this. Again, this is the purpose of training in here. So next we're going to go to the encryption part in here. And now, so Azure Cosmos encryptions protect your data at rest by seamlessly encrypting your data as it's written or in our data center, and automatically decrypting for your as you can access it. So data encryption, I will leave it. If you have any, you can add it in here, as you can see here, but usually Azure will provide one for you. Next, we're going to go to take. I don't have anything in the real environment. If you have multiple Cosmos DB, I suggest you to add tags in here to separate your workload and organize it properly. But in my case, I don't. So I'm going to go ahead to review and create. And one more things I noted to like to mention. I changed the backup storage. It was geo-redundant. I thought about it, although it's just a free account, so I just put it to locally and redundant backup, which again, this is the purpose of this is very important. When you're in a real environment, you may select zone or geo. This is less you can select, and there's other options as I mentioned to you on this area where you have to select the distributions too, which can be important for you. In case of data center down or anything like that, it may you may need to consider that. So I'm gonna go ahead and create on review and create, and it's gonna go through a validation and with success, and then I'm gonna go ahead and create the Cosmos database in here, and it's gonna go the process of, as you can see, provisioning, and it's gonna be a few minutes. I may have to pause the video and come back and forth. And the process of creating the Cosmos DB was finished. And then, as you can see here, your deployment was successful. I'm going to go ahead, go to the resources. And as you can see here, which is giving you the option to choose the platform. So says here your Azure Cosmos DB account was created. Now step one, add a container. So a container in Cosmos DB is where the data is stored. Unlike most relational database, which scales up with the larger VM size, Azure's Cosmos DB scales out data is stores on one of more server called partition to increase throughput or storage. Uh, so more partition are added here. And the other part you want to check here, the database is currently online, as you can see here, and then the read location and write locations. As I did not select it, and I show you that. And also, as you can see, it registered my URL. As you can see, the demo Cosmos D54, and it's open to public HTTPS. As you can see, 443 port, and that's a great thing. That's good. And the other great features also beside I mentioned the quick start. It's I haven't selected containers yet. We will do the estimated cost, the hourly usage. You can track it, how much you're spending, how much is your cost, as you can see here, which is this is a great things um, for as a cost estimate. You know how much is going to be your spending and paying. So I went to a search area within the Cosmos DB and Type C for containers. So I'm gonna go ahead and um, um, select create a new container. That's what I'm gonna do here, and we're gonna give it a name, and I will process the procedure for you in a minute. I'm gonna go ahead call it demo list in here. You can see, or gonna give it more resounding name, demo. Okay, base, and that's will be my database. I'm gonna start doing my application information. The second one, the second things, it's about the database throughput, as you can see. And throughput is your performance and hourly performance managed and request the units per second metric. So the lowest that you can get. And the slowest, as you can see, it's as is shown as 400 estimated cost an hourly, and it's $23.36 a month, as you can see. Um, and don't forget, this is going to be, as we did before, it's going to be for redundancy also, counting that for throughput for the regions. If you select the geo redundancy, as you remember we did, so you're going to be multiplying that to that part also in here. Next, we're going to pick up containers that's equivalent to our table. We call it demo. Uh, okay, my database, and then here. Oh, maybe call it to do, maybe to do list. more like it. Okay. Okay, and next I'm gonna pick up the partition key, and as I mentioned here, probably prior, or I'm gonna mention it, right now, partition key. So for partition key is the way for Cosmos DB how to split the logically your data, but also how to split it physically. Um, um, uh, physically, basically for the performance in here. And I'll add a common key. I'll put a as a category in here. And that's about it for me, as I'm gonna check everything else and across containers, which is fine. And I don't have to specify any unique key. If you have that, you can, as it says here, unique keys provide developers with the ability to add layers. That's an extra, actually, layers. I don't have any analytical stores here to add. So that's about it. And I'm gonna go ahead and click OK. And database will be created in Cosmos here. As you can see here, demo database here, it was created, and to-do list for that I have to create it. This is was originally in there by default, and this is what I have been did create. And under my database demo database, it says, as you can see here, skills, items, settings, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. And again, you see I have a couple of things here. Is this items? This is the currently within the collections you have in here, and you get the settings here, and you have basically a stored procedure, and you have user-defined function and triggers. We're not going to be focusing on that, uh, rather on the settings and the settings, and also the items and settings. Matter of fact, as you can see. And as you can see here, when you're in the items, it's going to select asterisk from C, which means you're going to select something there. And we don't have anything for now, so we're going to go ahead and create new items, as you can see. So I did have some sample data that I obtained from GitHub, which have the script here, as you can see, and I paste it. And as you can see, is an ID item is one, as category is personal. I need to pick up groceries, pick up an apple and strawberries, and for incomplete is complete is false, as you can see. I add it here. Gonna go ahead and click on save. As you can see, Cosmos DB added some additional properties on its own. For example, like attacks is used to track the changes on the items. Also have the timestamp in here, which is encoded, as you can see here. Okay, let's go ahead and create new items here. And I copy and paste the second items. This is for ID 2. Categories is business. As just a reminder, set up a meeting with Tom, and as is complete is false in here. And go ahead and I'm going to click on save. And as you can see, um, it did generate the attack was talking and the timestamp. And we have two in here, the personal and for business, as you can see here. So, folks, this is as simple as it gets. If you want to manage data for the portal and just um, how to do in here. So the question is, how do you query the data you get here? Since we picked up um, the API, and as you know, since we picked up the SQL Core API, um, we can now query these the data here. So to query the data, you're gonna go right here, and says here select a query, and from the if you want to edit or type it. But if you hit on the new default one, it's gonna come up, and as you can see, it query the things we added in there for personal and business, as you can see. But it's great things in Portal. You get additional query stats, as you can see here. It's gonna be showing you the metrics and also these kind of status that you statistics that you need in here, and it's going to be valuable for your results or work, as you can see. And the career stats is a table. It's telling you how much quest per units you use for this query, as you can see here. Everything is documented and very needy. So, friend, that was it for the SQL API query performance and the query add, and I have demonstrated to you things here. Hopefully, I will go ahead and in the next video. I hope I don't want it to be lengthy for you. That I will do the .NET. Uh, um, and demonstrate that also in a separate video. So that's going to be next. In the meantime, I will go ahead and review some of the settings and integrations and some of the features actually here that comes with the Azure Cosmos DB within the blade. Matter of fact, that could be beneficial for you, and it's going to help you out during through your development and infrastructure performance. So we're going to go to one of the things is feature, and I believe this again Microsoft does updates, which is that's a great things about them, and add a lot of things in there. One of them this feature burst capacities, so you can enable and disable. So Azure DB burst capacity allows you to take advantage of your database or container ideal throughput capacity to handle spikes of the traffic, and with the burst capacity. I'm not going to be enable that, but I'm just telling you what is it all about, and can be accumulated up to 5 minutes of idle capacity, as you can see here. It's explaining very thoroughly. Partition merge preview, if you want to enable that, it's got a lot of explanations to do here. I'm just giving you a gist of it in here of what is this under feature. And the next one is materialized view for non-SQL API preview. And as you can see here, materialized view when defined will help you provide a mean to efficiently query a base container on the Azure Cosmos DB with the non-primary key filters and such. You can read them through this. This is very good. And as I mentioned to you, and last but not least is the diagnostic full text query, which is this great things. And Azure Cosmos DB provides the capacity for advanced login and getting more data in your log with a full text query. By enabling a full text query, you will give permission for Azure Cosmos DB access your access and surface data in your logs. We can enable that, and it's gonna go the process. As you can see, it's gonna take sometimes. That was the reason I did not go through the procedure, and because I need to explain the rest of the settings here for you, and that was the one only I allowed that. So it might go through the process of enabling, and that's and it's still loading because it's going to do a lot of readouts here, even if you have just the basic small things in there going on. So it was enabled successfully. That's just one of the things. If you want to enable that, we can do that later. So next things we have replicate data globally. As you can see, it's disabled for me. It says here, add remove region operation execute asynchronously. That's not mean it's not in the same time. Perform consistency check and data transparent. So click on the location or remove region from your Azure Cosmos. As you can see here, it's give you the entire globe and give you illustrations. As you can see. Uh, Next on line is default consistency. So this is a great feature. Session consistency is which is set into a session whenever reading and writing data is going to come up at the same time in here. This is a great feature basically in here. It provides, as you can see, write latency available and read throughput comparable to that of an eventually uh, and as is shown you here but constancies is what also provide the constancy guarantees that suits the needs of the applications right to operate in the context of the user. um, this is a great feature, and actually, as you can see, it's going at the same time for east and west and north, and with the same process of a globally distributed, in here. Um, and sometimes you see the data comes at the same time with the same, but the other different things is the order. As you can see, the red comes on here with the same time, but on the north, central came up and later on. So that's the synchronizations process, as you can see here. That's a great feature here. And always you can search for it and look for it on the web and they give you more broad details about what's going on in this kind of particular blades which default consistency. and also to explain you a consistent prefix. So it tells you here if you write the performance of like an ABC, then clients sees either A and A and B or ABC in here, and that's one of the things also. Again, um, you can have some search and do more thorough details about this. It's a great feature, I believe, and can be very beneficial for your infrastructure and through Azure Cosmos DB process. And next on the line is backup and restore, which I obviously did select locally redundant was submitted in here. Your account is on a periodic backup mode. You can change to continuous. So as you remember, I did it as a periodic and did not perform it as again. I was only doing this for the sake of getting an idea how to get to and how to utilize Azure Cosmos DB, at least for you with the new look of that as of September of 2023, as you can see here. And of course, for networking, I put all the networks. Did not select anything since such for you. And, and if you are real production or corporate environments, you will have to consult with your network engineers to set up something appropriate for this kind of feature. Um, Next one is core. Again, if you're working with header and the JavaScript single page application, um, you can use this to connect directly from JavaScript. There's even a JavaScript API in here, and to work with Cosmos DB, of course. And this is there's some features. It's new. It's like a dedicated gateway in here was added, and it's just generating some information. As a provisioned, if you want to provision it. Dedicated gateway cluster for your Azure Cosmos DB account. A dedicated gateway is a compute that is front end to data, which is comes at the beginning of the performance in here. In your Azure Cosmos DB, your dedicated gateway automatically includes integrated cache. So anything that's going to be performed is going to save it as a cache in there, which can be improved read performance. That's very good. Um, Next one is a key, which I have it basically hidden, which I'm not gonna share that per part, and, as you can see. And always you can regenerate these keys by clicking in this area, as you can see, and get a new key for your Cosmos databases operation. And there's always very good advisors recommendations in here for your all uh, practice here. It tells you what is it. You can view recommendation for all your resource in Azure Advisor, and you can use that. And the next one is Microsoft Defender for Cloud. This is for the security, and as you saw earlier, we set up that TLS in there. Not sure this is there's any no recommendations in here, but it will tell you. I have not basically enabled that, but what is Microsoft Defender? You can read more about it in here. Is an Azure native layer of the security that detects attempts on exploit database in the Azure. This is a great feature, guys. In the if you can if you can utilize it in a real productions area in here. That's a great feature actually that you can have. Next one, it's system assigned or user assigned. As you can see, you can assign this to whoever owns the whoever's going to work with this is based on RBAC. As you can see, that's something with the permissions involved, and there's a locks. You can lock. You can put a lock on your database so only you or certain people they can utilize it in here. Um, the other features that I'd like to talk about the add Azure Cognitive Search. That's it's a great feature as you can see. It's allow you as you can see synchronize your search service with the content of your Cosmos DB. Um, and definitely you can have more if you can go and do a search for it in here, and also it would allow you to query data through the search. So if there you are, let's say, keeping some information about the people that is searchable, you can use an Azure search as a result of that, and even can extend the performance of Cosmos DB in here. And next we have add an Azure function. This is a very cool integration feature in here. This button or this blade. So it says here create an Azure functions with the Azure Cosmos DB trigger that listens to your changes feeds of a container. Um, this is a great things actually to do, and um, and as you can see, this is my uh, database here listed, and I have to do the to-do list, and there is an explanations also if you rather have more into to this. You need to learn more about it. So always you can search and have better idea and knowledge about this. So in general, there's any changes happen to your Cosmos DB tool, document or replicate that, and it is gonna the function will show you so you can work on it in a real time right away. So some additional features, guys, here. As you can see, I'm not gonna talk about it. It's probably I have it on the other videos. Is the inside alerts. Um, you know, we have um, one of them. It's a browse. It can show you what has it been used. As you can see, it's not. This is not your bill. It's telling you, but that's what hasn't been utilized to this. And if you want to scale, and obviously you can do that. That's one of the things we've been in there already. But that's another feature to add in there to the entire things. So right now, uh, friends, I have come to the end of this. I demonstrated uh, to you how to utilize the create an Azure Cosmos DB account and utilize some basic process of a query. And as you saw and explained it to you, and as always, I appreciate your watching, and I also appreciate your likes and subscribes. And if you have any question, comments, please add them below, and I'll reply to you with a timely manner and promptly. So I want to thank you and have a great day.